There comes a moment when one no longer seeks to make any changes at any level for any reason. It is not from a lack of ability, but from a profound understanding that all is exactly as it is meant to be. In this state there is no intention, no desire. This is not about inaction, but about desirelessness, being in total acceptance. Yes, actions can still be taken, but without any internal drive to alter what simply is. Those who still possess intention to act are bound by a sense of lack or incompletion. They are unable to fully grasp the harmony that exists in everything. But the one who has reached true acceptance, who can act but chooses not to, is content. Things unfold as they must, without interference. There is no need for change, for everything is as it should be. There is no need to feel sorry for others, as their journeys are unknowable to us. Others may be more at peace than we can perceive. No one can truly understand another's internal state, for that knowledge is locked within each being, and that being is solely responsible for its own awakening, or the absence of it. We cannot judge or disturb others, but if a person begins to seek truth, yearns to be free and seeks liberation, it is their own karma, their grace, their opening, and no one can take credit for this. No one can claim to be the cause of another's spiritual awakening. There is no teacher, no listener. Things unfold naturally, of their own accord, and no one can rightfully claim responsibility for anything. Each sage has a past, perhaps one filled with missteps and ignorance. Likewise, every sinner holds the potential to evolve into wisdom and grace. This journey is ongoing, and it's impossible to judge someone at any given point. People's lives are like waves, rising and falling, with triumphs followed by defeats, fame followed by disgrace. Consider the lives of the well-known. One day they are celebrated, the next they are criticized or imprisoned. Nothing in the external world is stable. Life, when lived by the mind, is a chaotic roller coaster, because the mind is never still. If the mind is the foundation of one's existence, happiness will always remain elusive. Even moments of joy will be short-lived, followed by further struggles. Life becomes a game of chasing fleeting pleasures, with the difference only being in the degree of suffering. But when one abides in the true self, in the state of pure being, everything changes. This is a place of supreme bliss, contentment, and peace. It is not dependent on external circumstances or the fluctuations of the mind. The bliss of being is eternal and infinite, growing stronger with time rather than fading. Whether anyone else understands or notices is irrelevant. In this state, the distractions of the outer world lose their grip. Attention naturally turns inward, towards the silence within, and in that silence the mind, with all its restlessness, begins to dissolve. The process of turning inward requires only one thing: interest. It is a simple curiosity about one's true nature. The ancient sages suggested asking the question, "Who am I?" or "Who is the seer?" These are powerful inquiries. The seer is not the person claiming to see, but is the pure witness, uninvolved, untouched, and untainted. The seer exists everywhere, within all things, but is beyond name and form. It does not participate in the world's drama, but witnesses it. When one stops engaging in the worldly game, the seer within begins to manifest in pure silence. When the seer reveals itself, joy arises spontaneously, eternal and ever-increasing. Often, spiritual seekers experience moments of bliss, brief glimpses of the truth, but these experiences eventually fade. This fading creates a new longing, a desire to recapture that bliss. But when the seer fully manifests, it is like a flood of joy that never ends. This joy dissolves all concepts, all conditioning. The mind's limitations vanish, and the heart opens fully to the divine. No one can predict how this process unfolds. It is beyond planning or control. For the planner, the ego has been transcended. Yet, even after the body's death, this energy continues to flow, just as the influence of great sages persists long after their physical departure. The true essence of a realized being is not tied to their body or mind. It is an infinite energy that transcends time and space. This energy is always present, and when one remembers it, it ignites a fire in the heart. It is within, outside, and everywhere, beyond any specific moment or form. It is timeless. Those who are drawn to this truth are so because they are ready to return home. This is the grace that chooses individuals, though it seems random. It is not based on external criteria like geography, culture, or social standing. One might curse life for its difficulties, but at the very least one can be grateful for having found a glimpse of truth. Gratitude is essential because it melts the ego and dissolves all barriers. The ego may not even realize when it begins to dissolve, but the process continues nonetheless, even during sleep, even in the midst of chaos or restless minds. Life may seem wild, the mind uncontrollable, but the seeker, like a drunken traveler, continues to move toward home, no matter the circumstances. Many people doubt their ability to reach this truth, thinking their mind is too chaotic or their life too troubled. But these doubts are just thoughts created by the mind. The self, the pure awareness, is always present, untouched by the mind's turbulence. The body, mind, and intellect are all part of the illusion, the dream. But the awareness, the true self, remains ever awake, outside the dream. When the seer manifests, the truth becomes clear, and there is no longer any doubt. The false identification with the ego dissolves, and the seer, pure and untainted, takes its rightful place. The ego might claim to be the seer, but the true seer is far beyond the ego's grasp. Asking, "Who am I?" is a direct path to truth. It is not a question one asks another person, but a deeply personal inquiry posed within. When asked sincerely, it is not the ego that answers, but the divine itself. The divine, full of compassion and love, reveals the ultimate truth, not as words, but as silence. This question has the power to dissolve the false self and reveal the true self, which is beyond all forms and concepts. Most people wander through life, identified with the body and mind, blind to their true nature. But when one sincerely asks, "Who am I?" the doors of the heart open, revealing the beauty and truth of one's real nature. The role of the ego and its games are seen for what they are, and the divine comes to the seeker's aid. The true guru, the divine within, reveals the truth when the seeker is ready to receive it. This path is not about acquiring anything, but about letting go of all that is false. It is about becoming humble, like dust, with no desire to stand out or be counted. When one becomes nothing, they become everything. Arrogance is the greatest obstacle on this path. Those who have achieved worldly success often believe they can conquer the spiritual path in the same way. But this is folly. Spiritual awakening is not an achievement. It requires the surrender of all worldly achievements and the dissolution of the ego. No one with arrogance has ever realized the self. The ego, with all its claims and accomplishments, must be let go. True spiritual realization is found in silence, in pure awareness, without any sense of personal ownership. When one reaches this state, everything is seen as part of the dream. The body, mind, and emotions lose their sense of personal significance. They are no longer mine. The ego dissolves, leaving only the pure awareness, which is impersonal, ever-present, and free. This awareness is not something that can be grasped or owned. It is beyond all duality, beyond all concepts of personal identity. To truly understand and live as the seer, one must let go of the false notion of self and abide in pure awareness. This is where true happiness lies, beyond the transient ups and downs of life. The seer is bliss, and to dissolve into the seer is to merge with that eternal bliss.